Ladies and gentlemen, there's a sacred power in the quiet, a strength that doesn't shout, but moves mountains. The world may not see your effort right now, but the universe does. And the truth is, what grows in silence is often what lasts the longest. Power grows in quiet because silence is the space where real transformation takes root. When you work in silence, you enter a sacred realm where distractions fade and focus sharpens. In that stillness, your energy is not scattered by noise or comparison. It becomes concentrated, purposeful, and aligned. The world often glorifies noise, announcements, achievements, and recognition, but growth rarely happens in the spotlight. Think of the seed buried beneath the soil. No one applauds it. No one sees its effort as it splits open, pushes through darkness, and reaches toward light. Yet, in that silent process, the miracle of life is taking place. The seed's power is not diminished by its quietness. It is strengthened by it. The same principle applies to us. When we embrace silence in our journey, we give ourselves permission to grow authentically. External validation loses its grip, and inner clarity takes its place. Working in quiet helps us listen to intuition, the inner voice that guides us toward what truly matters. In silence, we become aware of the subtle whispers of inspiration that can't be heard over the constant chatter of the world. This is where creative breakthroughs, deep insights, and genuine confidence are born. They do not come from an audience's applause, but from communion with our purpose. The power of quiet work also teaches patience. In a culture obsessed with instant results, we often forget that great things take time. Flowers do not bloom overnight, nor do dreams manifest immediately. Silent effort reminds us that growth is not always visible, but always happening. Every moment spent refining a skill, nurturing an idea, or building character is a silent investment in future strength. Just because others can't see your progress doesn't mean it isn't real. The universe honors those who persist without needing validation, those who trust the process even when it's invisible. Moreover, silence shields your energy. When you talk too soon about your dreams, the opinions and doubts of others can weaken your resolve. Working quietly allows your ideas to mature, to gain strength before they face the winds of the world. Silence becomes your protector, giving your purpose time to grow solid roots before it blossoms. Power truly grows in quiet because silence refines the soul. It nurtures focus, discipline, and self-belief. It is in the unseen hours, the uncelebrated moments, that greatness takes shape. The noise of the world can be tempting, but it is the quiet worker, the one who keeps moving forward without fanfare, who ultimately discovers the deepest form of strength. Focusing on purpose, not applause, is one of the most liberating choices a person can make. When you shift your attention from external validation to inner fulfillment, you begin to understand that your work is not about proving yourself, but about expressing yourself. Every individual carries a unique gift, a special calling that only they can bring into the world. When you focus on applause, your motivation becomes fragile. It rises and falls with the opinions of others. But when you focus on purpose, your motivation becomes sacred, steady, and unbreakable. You no longer work to be seen, you work because something within you must be expressed. That is where genuine satisfaction is born. The applause of others is fleeting, but purpose endures. The crowd may cheer for you today and forget your name tomorrow, but the joy that comes from living in alignment with your purpose can never be taken away. Applause feeds the ego, while purpose nourishes the soul. The ego seeks to impress, to compete, to win approval. The soul seeks to serve, to create, to contribute. When you work for recognition, you hand over your power to others. When you work from purpose, you reclaim it. Every act becomes meaningful, even if no one notices. because you know you are serving something larger than yourself. Working from purpose also allows your creativity to flourish. When you are not worried about judgment or praise, you are free to take risks, make mistakes, and grow. The pressure to impress can suffocate inspiration, but the freedom to express invites it. Great art, innovation, and leadership are born not from the desire to be admired, but from the need to make a difference. The most impactful people in history were not chasing applause. They were answering a calling. Their greatness emerged because they were devoted to the message, not the noise surrounding it. When you detach from applause, you also develop resilience. Criticism, rejection, and failure no longer define you, because your worth isn't anchored to how others respond. You learn to trust the quiet satisfaction that comes from doing your best and staying true to your path. You understand that success is not about how many people are watching, but about how faithfully you are honoring the work you are meant to do. Focusing on purpose over applause transforms work into worship. It turns ordinary effort into sacred practice. You begin to move from ego to essence, from striving to flowing, from seeking approval to embodying peace. When your actions come from love, rather than the need for attention, every step becomes a blessing, and every day becomes meaningful beyond measure. Consistency over visibility is the quiet rhythm of all true success. In a world where attention has become a currency, it's easy to believe that being seen is the same as being significant. But real growth, the kind that transforms lives and builds legacies, happens not in the flashes of recognition, but in the daily, unseen acts of dedication. Consistency is the invisible thread that ties dreams to reality. It's the decision to show up again and again, even when no one notices, even when the results are not immediate. Visibility can bring you attention for a moment, but consistency builds character, skill, and depth that last a lifetime. When you focus on visibility, you often chase moments of approval rather than mastery. You become driven by how things appear instead of how they truly are. But when you focus on consistency, you choose substance over show. You plant seeds every day, trusting that with time and care, they will bloom. The truth is, the most successful people are not necessarily the most visible. They are the ones who never stop doing the work. Their results speak not of a single burst of effort, but of years of persistence, resilience, and faith in the process. Consistency refines you. It shapes your habits, sharpens your focus, and strengthens your spirit. Each day you practice your craft or push through discomfort, you add another layer to your foundation. And though others may not see the progress, it's happening quietly beneath the surface. That's how excellence is formed, through repetition, patience, and the willingness to keep going when enthusiasm fades. It's easy to work when you're inspired, but the real test of commitment is whether you can keep working when inspiration is gone. There's a certain peace that comes from steady effort. You stop needing to prove anything because your actions become your testimony. Consistency teaches humility. It shows that greatness isn't born from grand gestures, but from small, faithful steps. Every writer who finishes a book, every athlete who masters their form, every teacher who changes a life, does so not through one shining moment, but through the quiet power of daily devotion. Visibility is fleeting, consistency is eternal. One fades when the light moves on, the other endures through every season. The world might not always celebrate your persistence, but it will always feel its impact. And when your time comes to shine, your work will speak with the authority of someone who didn't just appear overnight, but grew. Steadfast and patient in the silence of commitment, alignment with a higher source is the quiet foundation of purposeful work. When you align your actions with something greater than yourself, your energy flows with ease instead of struggle. You stop pushing against life and begin to move with it. This alignment is not about religion or ritual. It is about connection, an inner awareness that there is a divine intelligence guiding every step, every opportunity, every challenge. When you work from this space, your efforts carry a deeper sense of meaning because they are no longer driven by fear or ego, but by trust and inspiration. In the rush of modern life, many people work hard, but remain disconnected from the source of their strength. They chase goals, accumulate achievements, and still feel empty because their actions are not aligned with their higher purpose. But when you pause, breathe, and reconnect to that divine flow within, your work transforms from obligation to expression. You begin to realize that you are not the doer of everything, but a vessel through which life expresses its creativity and wisdom. This shift releases tension, and what once felt heavy becomes light. The same work that drained you before now fulfills you, because it flows through inspiration, not effort alone. Alignment also brings clarity. When you are connected to a higher source, confusion fades, and intuition becomes your guide. Decisions that once seemed difficult feel natural, because you are no longer guessing, you are listening. There is an invisible conversation taking place between your soul and the universe. And in that dialogue, direction appears. You begin to trust the timing of things, understanding that what is meant for you cannot miss you. In this state, your work becomes an act of faith, each step guided, each effort infused with quiet confidence. Working in alignment means surrendering the need to control every outcome. It's about doing your part with excellence and allowing the universe to handle the rest. You stop forcing results and start attracting them. The energy you put out, kindness, intention, and love, returns multiplied. This is the magic of alignment. It turns ordinary action into sacred movement. You may still face challenges, but you no longer see them as obstacles. You recognize them as lessons designed to strengthen your connection and deepen your purpose. Alignment with a higher source is the art of working from peace rather than pressure. It's the awareness that you are supported, that your journey is guided, and that every effort made in faith becomes part of something far greater than what you can see. When you align your work with that divine rhythm, success ceases to be a chase and becomes a natural unfolding of grace. Humility builds greatness because it keeps the heart open to learning and the spirit grounded in truth. In a world where people are often told to prove, display, and dominate, humility offers a different kind of power. The quiet, unshakable strength that comes from knowing who you are without needing to announce it. Humility is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the understanding that no matter how much you achieve, there is always more to learn, more to grow, and more to give. When you are humble, you remain teachable, receptive to life's lessons, and willing to evolve. That openness becomes the soil in which true greatness grows. Those who build their success on pride are like houses built on sand. The moment the applause fades or criticism comes, their foundation crumbles. But those who build on humility stand firm, because their worth is not dependent on outside approval. They understand that greatness is not about being above others. It is about being in service to something larger than yourself. Humility allows you to recognize that every person, every experience, has something to teach you. Instead of seeing others as competition, you begin to see them as companions on a shared journey. That shift creates peace, empathy, and respect, which are the true marks of a great soul. Humility also keeps you connected to gratitude. When you acknowledge that your talents, opportunities, and successes are gifts from something greater, you naturally become more thankful. Gratitude fuels joy, and joy sustains effort. It allows you to celebrate progress without arrogance, and to accept setbacks without despair. A humble heart understands that both triumphs and trials are teachers. It doesn't cling to success nor shrink from failure. It walks steadily through, both with grace. The humble worker does not seek to impress, but to improve. They give their best quietly, knowing that real excellence doesn't need to be declared. It reveals itself through consistency and integrity. Humility keeps ego in check, ensuring that ambition serves purpose rather than pride. It transforms leadership into service and turns success into a platform for lifting others rather than elevating oneself. In the silence of humility, greatness matures. It doesn't need validation because it draws strength from within. The truly great are those who can stand tall without looking down on others, who can achieve much yet still listen, who can lead but never forget how to serve. Humility is the invisible crown of those who understand that life's highest form of success is not in being admired, but in being useful, kind, and deeply real. Results speak louder than words because truth needs no decoration. When your actions are rooted in integrity and consistency, your work becomes your voice, your character becomes your message, and your results become your testimony. The world is filled with noise. People making promises, boasting of plans, and seeking validation through talk. But the quiet worker, the one who stays faithful to the task, doesn't need to announce progress. They let the outcome speak on their behalf. Words can be empty, but results are undeniable. They carry a weight, a power that no amount of explanation or justification can match. Every great achievement has its foundation in silent effort. The person who trains in obscurity, practices when no one is watching, and continues when motivation fades, eventually creates something that cannot be ignored. When that moment of revelation comes, people call it luck or talent, but it is neither. It is the visible fruit of invisible labor. Words can attract attention for a moment, but results command respect that lasts. They tell a story of persistence, discipline, and belief that cannot be faked. Letting results speak also protects your energy. When you feel the urge to prove yourself, you scatter your focus trying to convince others of your worth. But when you trust the process and keep working, you conserve that energy for what truly matters. Creation and mastery. You learn that silence is not weakness but confidence. It means you don't need to argue or defend your dreams, because you know the evidence will come in time. The universe responds not to declarations but to dedication. When your actions align with your intentions, the results will eventually mirror your inner truth. Results also inspire others far more deeply than words ever can. A person who quietly builds something meaningful becomes a living example of what is possible. Their journey reminds others that you don't have to shout to make an impact. You simply have to do the work and let your light shine naturally. The results become a form of service, showing that diligence and patience